Hello, good afternoon, good morning to the audience. Welcome back to our HATO Insights webinar. Today we will have a new topic from our lighting strategies, which is called DC, the smart choice for efficient farming. Thank you for being here. My name is Cristabel Huerta, brightness consultant at HATO. Today we will continue with our topic about to see the practical differences between AC lighting and DC lighting systems. So last week we were telling you, the last time we were telling you about the way to find out the best setup for your farm when having AC lighting. Here we will talk and check on the benefits on why DC lighting come to be the smart choice when you are looking for animal performance, efficiency, and farm operations. We will also see how direct current lighting is gaining ground in livestock farming and the advantages and the benefits that you will find on it and how to choose what is the best for you. So just to start and getting some insights from you as well, and also that you get in perspective the topics that we will disclose in this presentation, we will start with a poll. Here it is the question: why have you not opted for DC lighting? It's a multiple choice question, so you will see that poll popping up in your device, and you may choose more than one option. So A, it is not the standard power supply from the grid. B, DC lighting requires power suppliers plus other parts besides the lamps. C, it is a complex installation. D, it represents a higher investment. E, any other option or situation why you have not opted yet for DC lighting. So make your choice. I'll give you some time, and then we'll see the answers. Remember that at the end of the presentation, we will have some time to look into your comments or questions. So if you have anything to note, please find your chat box and leave it there. And at the end, we will come back to you. So here we see that majority has answered A. And that it is not the standard of power supply from the grid, and then B, that it requires power supplies, and of course it also represents a complex installation. All right, so we will learn along the presentation how this sort of challenges, we can see it from another perspective, and then actually a DC lighting solution can be the best choice for your farm depending on the setup. And it is always very important to keep in mind what are your objectives, what are the trends of the market, as well as local regulations, limitations, and so on, to make the right decision for your farm. All right, so important is to always look for a good and sustainable investment, because as we have been saying in other webinar sessions, that lighting is a very important and essential factor in every livestock farm. Just from the point that it establishes the day-night cycle, and that you need to simulate that sunlight to stimulate natural behavior in the animals, and of course to improve their well-being, to bring more comfort of the animals so that they can perform better, feel more at ease, and then you will see better results in the way that you can communicate better with your animals, fulfill their needs, and therefore you need to look for a solution that can give you a better quality of light. With at the end, you will improve the life of the animals, it will improve the life of the farmer because you will bring more efficiency in the farm, less challenges, reduce costs, and at the end, better results in the farm. So you can improve in several ways if you come to know a better lighting strategy that can manage your flock or your animals in a better way and get better performance out of your farm. So lighting is very important. That is why it matters. Here it is a bit of a theory on certain terms, because we will mention this along the presentation, so you have also a little bit of knowledge when it is up to come on energy, electrical energy, and how to power your lights. Right, so we'll start with voltage, because we are talking here about AC currents and DC currents, and mainly DC current works on low voltages. So the voltage is the force that pushes the current through the cable, and it is measured in volts with a voltmeter. Symbol is U, and if we put this into an analogy, where electricity is like a water hose, we see that voltage is like the water pressure. Then we have current, as the energy that will be transported, and it is measured in amperes with an ampere meter. Symbol is I, and the analogy will be the amount of water. So it's the current that goes through the cable, so the amount of water that goes through the water hose, and therefore it is important to know the size of this water hose, the same like you would need to know the thickness of the wiring. Then we have resistance, which is the obstruction in the circuits. It is measured in ohm. You need an ohm meter to measure that. Symbol is R, and the analogy is the obstruction, resistance, and that would be like sand in the water hose. Then you have power, which is the total energy that will be consumed in time. It is measured in watts. That is what you recognize when having your light fixture, to know what is the power of that lamp that you can get out of it, and this also the energy consumption, watts, and the symbol is P of power, and the analogy would be freeing that energy, that water. So you need to know the quantity of lamps by the watts of that light fixture to know the total power consumption. Okay, so from here then we go to the next slide, that is about discovering then the power of current choices. So what are the alternatives that you have now in the market to power your lighting in livestock farms? So you have the AC, which is the alternating current. As you said, indeed, it is the standard power supply from the grid, where you can easily take the electricity and the energy to power your lights, and you need only the light fixtures with wiring and a dimmer if you want to control your lights or have some simple programs of your lights. Then it is easier to install. AC will flow from positive to negative. So as we see in the graph besides, you see the orange line, that AC lighting changes polarity periodically, where it goes from a plus, from a maximum point to a minimum point, and that oscillation repeats over time. And how fast or how often repeats that fluctuation of lighting density per second is what we call frequency, and it is measured in hertz. And then you have the direct current, DC, which is a more stable single direction current, and that flows on a straight line, therefore is more steady. But you need to convert that alternate currents getting from the grids, the standard grid, and you need some power supplies to convert into that direct current, and to get that single and stable direction current. Then the DC operates on low voltages, and this makes it a more safe solution than AC. Okay, so we see that the use of voltages in alternate currents over the world differs per regions. We see that it goes from 100 volts to 240 volts, for instance, and that frequency also changes. In some regions you have 50 hertz or 60 hertz. And even in certain regions, they have frequent voltage peaks, and these spikes represent really high risk in the farm. So you need to have certain surge suppressors or good electricity installation to ensure your system or your lights. Therefore, when having a DC lighting, the system is a bit more protected. It also works on low voltages, and if any voltage peaks should come, your lighting system will not be broken. It can switch off, but is a bit more protected, and also means more safety. And again, you improve overall efficiency in the farm. So it is one of the benefits of going to DC lighting. But we will come back to the benefits of AC lighting. So the giveaways that we gave last session about AC lighting in livestock farming. Just to remind you, in case that you were not there as well, what to compare when mounting AC lighting and DC lighting. So we see here as an advantage the greater coverage, meaning that you can power longer cable runs with less drop voltage, meaning that you can connect more lights in a line. This is ideal for large barns with certain high output lighting needs. So think about cattle barns, pig farms, or in poultry farms for retrofits, where you already have the AC installation, electrical installation, and it's very easy just to replace those similar light fixtures in your current installation, then AC will be the option. As well in cattle or pig farms where you need very high light intensities to reach, then AC it is the best solution, because you need to reach about 150, 200 lux or even more, and you get light fixtures which are more robust and bigger, and you need that light intensity and longer lines with now any drop voltage. And that also to ensure uniformity in light distribution. So installation is very important. And the availability is another advantage of AC lighting, because AC is the standard grid of power, and it represents also lower upfront costs, but you have to analyze that, because depending on the setup, if you have a large barn, even if you want to upgrade your lighting in cattle barns or pig farms, it is indeed ideal. For poultry farms, it could be an option, DC lighting instead of AC lighting. It can be a higher investment at the beginning, but then afterwards the DC lighting can be a long-term solution. So this is something that you will learn along the presentation, and that you can check on what is really the needs of your farm, what is your current situation, but also not forgetting the needs of the animals. And it of course, with AC lighting, easier to scale and maintain, because you don't need any other spare parts or parts that conforms a lighting system. Also just to extend your farm, then just extend your line of lights. And when you think about a simple, cost-effective and widely supported solution, then AC is the solution to go. Okay, then we can check on the benefits of DC lighting on the farm. Here we talk more about a higher energy efficiency. So if you are coming from other type of LED lighting instead of LED, like fluorescence or any other type of lighting, or if you come from LED not for exclusive use in livestock farms, then when you go to precision lighting, specialized or dedicated for livestock farm, there you will see the higher energy efficiency and overall improved farm performances. And there is what we will focus this presentation, how to improve safety, the extended LED lifespan, to explain how to understand better those specs and get a longer lifetime. That is anyway the advantage from AC lighting when you have DC lighting using low voltages, the minimum electrical interference, and knowing that you reduce the electrical noise that you can get from other kind of light fixtures or even from AC lighting that sometimes causes interference with sensitive barn equipment like ventilation or feeding systems. And of course, when we focus on the needs of the animals, where lighting plays an important role in influencing animal behavior and performances. And that is flicker-free light output and mixing colors that can boost performances of your flock, especially in poultry houses. So let's continue to understand a bit more of these benefits and how to do your setup, right? So with energy efficacy, which is to produce the desired amount of light in lumen with less energy consumed, that is represented in watts, meaning that you will get more illuminance or brightness in the farm using less energy. So you will reduce energy costs and get better illuminance in the farm. That is already a way to reduce costs. And then for that, to keep that energy efficiency, you need to know where to install the lights. And for that, it's very important to request or realize a custom-made light plan that is adapted to the characteristics of each barn. And from there, get the right light installation to achieve the right lux level and the right light intensity in the areas that you need. And that means get the optimal light distribution. So it is indeed needed to get a uniformity, but also to create that difference in light intensities depending on the type of housing that you have, of the type of systems that you have inside a house. Also, if it is for cattle or for pigs, if you have entry of daylight and you're having only support lighting, well, all those things matters to get the right light spread, that to get the right design that maximize that light output in order to get a good light intensity and a good light distribution across the barn or the system. So for that, it is very important to request that custom made light plan and get the best out of it. Now, how it is a DC lighting system conform? I put here as an example our DC HATO 48 volt system, where you can see that you get your lights working on 48 volts, any designs that you would need for the type of application or housing. And it is always needed this power pack, where it is a box with the connections and the setup that you will need. So if you need to mix colors to reach certain light intensity, the connection blocks are placed into that plastic gray box with the power supplies attached, which allows you to convert the AC lighting to DC or direct current lighting. And then the dimmer or the ATA signal to be able to dim your lights with the power supplies of the dimmer. So it's very straightforward, nothing else. It is important to have a compatibility within these elements. So your lamps with the right power supply and a good dimmer to avoid flicker-free, to have a smooth dimmability, and that the system works properly so that you can improve performances in the barn. So if you have any other solution for any other light supplier, just check that everything works perfectly, that you follow the manual instructions, because knowing that your lights work on low voltages and that the power supplies have certain power that can work for a certain number of lamps per line, and get a design on how you will install your power supplies and the wiring and so on. Yes, it sounds complex with certain limitations, but it is quite easy to install when you know how the system is conformed, and very easy to follow the manual instructions to install. Then it's very straightforward. Then it's also technology of each light supplier to allow to install even longer lines than you think you can reach. So it is several ways to have a very good lighting system that can last for years, and giving you more advantages than an AC lighting type. Okay. One other element that is very important is, of course, safety. And DC, as I was mentioning already, is safer than AC systems. So we see that currents of 2 milliamperes can already be felt. When you have currents of 30 milliamperes to 50 milliamperes, is unbearable pain, represents also cardiac fibrillation or unconsciousness, and all currents above 50 milliamperes can lead to death. So it is really risky to have AC lights in a farm. So therefore, you have to let it installed with an electrician or the installer that knows how to follow all the safety protocol when it is up to work with electricity. With low voltage solutions, it is easier to install, safer. Always good to have an electrician, but also represent less risk in case that you need to do a replacement. And even with good quality materials of light fixtures, good quality of LEDs that are waterproof and hermetic, you can even do the cleaning of your farm with the lights on. So it is something that can also help to improve efficiency in the farm and reduce costs and risk in other ways. So we see here about higher security. When you get this IP67 rated, to be sure that your lights are waterproof, that you get the maximum fire protection within the lighting system, also an easy installation, then you can get a good lighting with longer lifetime, with less risk, less replacements, reduced cost of purchasing, manpower, downtime, and at the end you improve in efficiency and as well on other tasks, and again on higher security. So we have here another poll. Here is about lifetime. So in regards lighting lifespan in a livestock farm, what matters the most? So it is only single option: A, lighting hours; B, brightness over time; or C, both. You have selected the answer. Okay, I see that majority answer both, indeed. So for over the lighting lifespan, it matters both. So the lighting hours that the light supplier is offering in the specification of that lamp, but of course the brightness over time. So we really need to understand what those specs means to ensure a good performance in the farm. So let's decode it. So we see here two examples. You see sometimes in the lighting specs like 50,000 hours or 100,000 hours, and it is easy to assume that more means better. Because you see the 100 hours that doubles of if you see 50,000 hours the lifetime. But the thing is that the people do not realize that lights don't suddenly switch off. So it's not that they reach the 50,000 hours and up, those are broken and they are totally off. No, so over time, the light fixtures are slowly losing brightness. And that is also what matters specifically on those applications with lighting density. It is very important to influence animal behavior and to improve productivity. And it is important to measure to ensure that you are getting that lighting density when you need it. And not that trusting that in 2 or 3 years you are still having the same lighting density. So if they are telling you 50,000 hours or 100,000 hours, they have to achieve that. But we see often, like for instance, the L90 B10 at 50,000 hours, L90 it means that at 90% of the original brightness is still shining after the stated hours. So 90% still at 50,000 hours, it is bright enough as promised, and only 10% of the light, so the B10 is that 10%, will fall below that 90% mark. In the example number 2, we see that L70, the lights are down to 70% of their original brightness, and the B50 is the 50% will be even dimmer than that. So meaning that there you are losing already the 30% of the original brightness. It's more than that with the 90%. And 50% is already lower than that 70%. So actually the L90B10, you get better brightness along the years than the one that it says 100,000 hours where you lose a lot of brightness. So two dim lights risk animal health and lower production. And you can see that very clear in the graph besides, where you have expected average lifetime. When you see the 50,000 hours up to 100,000 hours, and from 0 to 100% in brightness, and how over time it is decreasing that brightness in your light fixtures. And when you reach 100,000 hours, you already had almost a half and less of the brightness that you should be getting on that application. So with that it is assuring you the 90% of the original brightness on up to 100,000 hours, you get that quality of LED lights and that light plan that has in consideration the maintenance factor that you will lose brightness along the year, and that thus covering overall the environment of the farm, but that you can reach that lighting density, which is fundamental to improve performances and of course productivity. So that is where here at HATO we back up with these 8 warranty years on DC lighting to achieve that brightness over time, and not that at that time of number of hours your lights will be less in intensity and be broken. So that is important to understand those aspects, how it works. All right, now we have another poll for you. Here you will see the question: is your DC lighting installation smooth, dimmable, and flicker-free? Option A, yes, both. B, none. Or C, I'm not sure. So perhaps your lights are dimmable, but you are not sure about if it is totally flicker-free. It's a single option question. Give you some time to respond. So they have answered yes, both. Okay, indeed. Well, good. And I just hope that you are for sure knowing that your solutions are flicker-free. If not, just take a light meter with a sensor that it is accurate, and then measure your lighting density, your lights in at 100%, and mainly when you are dimming the lights and on lower lighting densities, because sometimes it's where the flicker can appear, and it's also easier to measure a flicker. That is just to make sure that your lights are flicker-free. And indeed, dimmability, it's a very important factor to have nowadays in a livestock farm. Again, this is to simulate daylight. With dimmability, you can simulate sunrise and sunsets, and to keep a more balanced their circadian rhythm, this day-night cycle, dimmability helps animals to prepare to day-night activities. That also stimulates natural behavior. And flicker-free, as I was saying, when dimming lighting densities, then it is important to prevent a flicker. That to prevent the sudden stress responses, and also to prevent the increased heart rate for that moment, or when you do not have dimming lights, then putting the lights on at 100% and then put it out, then also creates stress in animals. So keep a better balance in their biorhythm, in their circadian rhythm, to get animals that feel more at ease and that will perform better, and again increase their comfort and well-being. And that for sure will give you more better results, because they will decrease that stress, and the energy consumed from a feed is not wasted in unwanted behavior, and will improve as well your FCR. That always to keep in balance their day-night rhythm. Okay, so let's see how light flicker works and how you can measure it, and check if your DC lighting is flicker-free, because that definitely will reduce animal stress and improve performances. So we see in this graph that the light output for alternate current solution that goes in this fluctuation from a minimum and maximum value of the light output. And as bigger the difference is between these 2 points, is more flicker. And where there is no difference of these 2 points, like the yellow line that goes steady and a straight line current, then is no flicker. Therefore, the advantage of having DC lighting. But that also depends on the technology of the light supplier, and as said, about the compatibility between the parts that conform this lighting system. So the power supply with the light fixture and the dimmer. And to describe flicker, you need to measure the flicker percentage, flicker frequency, and the flicker index. Here are some values that you can have as reference to consider that will be optimum meaning that it is achieving a flicker-free lighting solution, but one is related to the other. So you cannot only base on one factor, because it can also be influenced or manipulated with the other factors, and that would depend on how you are dimming your lights and how the technology of the light supplier is working with that system. Okay, just to have a reference, for instance, with the flicker frequency, I said as it is above the critical flicker fusion, when it is the point when species or humans cannot see anymore that fluctuation happening in the lamp of that light output. That differs per species. So for humans, it's about 50 hertz when we don't see that flicker happening. For poultry, it's about 100 or 120 hertz. So in between is when poultry do not perceive that, that fluctuation anymore, or that flicker happening in the light fixture. So above that number of hertz, then is better for poultry. But still, if the flicker is happening a very high percentage or high flicker index, then they will perceive it, perhaps not through the eye, but through the skull. And we know that poultry is very sensitive to light, and they have two ways to perceive light intensities. So it can still be a factor of affecting their behavior in not a positive way. And then you need to measure your lights and have a way to avoid that flicker. With mammals, for instance, pigs and cattle, that flicker fusion point then is similar to humans, so we don't see flicker that easy. But still, if the percentage is high, it will be the same effect as with humans, so that we have headaches, that is annoying, that we don't feel comfortable, that our vision decreases, that it also have certain negative effect in behavior. So it's always important to check that flicker, if it is in percentage low, also low in the flicker index, and how the frequency goes. And for that, we will understand a bit more how dimming DC lights work. Here I have some graphs, and you see commonly these two ways of dimming a DC lighting system. One is the constant current reduction, so the CCR dimming, that also goes by the name analog dimming, and the mechanism follows the relationship that the current moving through the LED is proportional to the output, meaning that the system involves reducing the current, which in turn reduces the brightness of the LED. So then you will reduce the lighting density. And sometimes, commonly, people name it as dimming with voltage. And that's that voltage, the force that pushes the current, will reduce the brightness. Then we have the PWM, or the pulse width modulation. The dimming is adjusting the currents in LED using the PWM technique, becoming then the LEDs dimmable. Here, as every LED has an amount of current needed to get the maximum output, the PWM will switch the current at a high frequency, which is between 0 and the rated currents. And the action triggers a ratio of on time. So when it is high, we see in the graph these squares, and that would be kind of like the fluctuation going from 0 to the rated LED currents that you give to the lights, and then it goes again low to 0. So it would be like the duty, call it the duty cycle, when you give that current, so that percentage of brightness, of you have the lights constantly on at 100%, or you give 50%, so it would be 50% of the time on and then 50% of the time off. and so goes up and down, or you give less current, less intensity, 25% and then on, and then 75% off, and so on. So therefore you get this cycle. Okay, but that is also like a constant on and off of the light. So with PWM, normally they work a very high frequency so that you don't perceive that change in light output. And therefore, again, it is important to measure your lights to see if those are not annoying, especially your flock, the poultry, with that difference in light fluctuation, because a poultry is very sensitive to it and might be creating some stress and then some unwanted behavior. So you see here in the other graph the comparison between the PWM signal, when you get that signal of current to get that duty cycle, if that it can vary from 0 to 100%, that is on and off. The PWM output that you will get to be able to dim your lights, and then CCR output, which would be dimming with voltage, this analog dimming, which is more steady, and to get your able to dim the lights and avoid flicker with it. And here we have some measurements done with the HATO one, which is an ideal tool to measure all aspects of lighting. Since we were talking about flicker, then you will get the 3 parameters that are important to look at. We have here 2 examples of 2 different light fixtures where you get a frequency at 100 Hertz. Well, you will say, yeah, even poultry don't see that flicker happening. But where you see in one that the percentage is 97.42% and the flicker index 0.51, very high. When we were giving values of getting a low percentage, lower than 10%, for instance, and with index closest to 0.0, well, this is very high. And you see even in the pattern of the graph there besides, it is very good to see that fluctuation and the point going from a maximum and minimum point of light output, that difference being bigger. And then with a flicker, with the other example, when you see the same frequency, percentage of 1.40% and flicker index 0.0, then here you can assure that there is no negative effect on animal behavior. So your lights are flicker free. You see why it is important to check on those 3 parameters. So in general, animal welfare goes hand by hand when you get an optimal light climate, and that is to adapt lighting into the needs of the animal to improve their vision according to their needs, their biological way of the eye, how they perceive the light spectrum, how it influences also their biorhythms and the behavior. And with that, you will improve their well-being, because animals will feel more at ease, will be calmer, will reduce the stress, and that thing that leads to unwanted behavior. And at the end, you see better performances out of the animals and, of course, better results. So it is just a general formula that as well it would happen with other factors in the farm. But light, it is a way of communication with your animals, but also a tool that will help you to manage animal behavior in the desired way in the farm and improve even productivity. So how do animals perceive light? Well, you see here a comparison on the details of the view that differs per species, and that depends on the biological process. And we see, for instance, the human perception of the light spectrum, where the human eye sees between the 400 and 700 nanometers, and where you can compare with the other species like poultry perception and the pig perception of that light spectrum and the cattle perception. Pig and cattle are quite similar, so they have 2 higher peaks on the blue and green, part of the spectrum, meaning that if we provide a light climate that is focused on that part of the spectrum, they will see better. And if you compare that with the light spectra of poultry, where they have 4 peaks, so they are tetrachromatic, and meaning that they can combine more colors, even more than humans. They can see more into detail when you provide a very wide light spectrum. So if you even put some UVA in it, you will improve even more their vision that with a standard LED white light that you can provide. So that is something that means on to adapt the lighting into the needs of the animals to improve their sight. And we see then that poultry is more sensitive than the other animals. So for cattle and pig, cool white light solution will be enough. So therefore, there is no different light colors available for that kind of application, and that AC lighting will perfectly work if you provide just cool white with good LED quality, with a light fixture, with materials that also can be perfect for high humidity and extreme environments in the farm. And then you have a good solution. Now with poultry, it is about how also different colors in light have an effect in their behavior. And that is more about mixing colors, so not only switching. Like with cows and cattle, well, it's not that you will provide only blue or only green light, but like the cool white spectrum, so that they have a broad light spectrum. And perhaps if you have here with pigs, that you might have only green light, like a guideline, that it will help in alleys or certain areas that will lead them to have an easy way to walk and not stress them. That could be, but you are not mixing colors. In poultry, we talked about the red light, for instance. I have here our Corax light, just as an example that you can mix light, so you can provide a white light, mostly warm white lights to keep birds calmer, because that is something that you will use in layers of breeders, because the red spectrum improves productivity and egg laying performance. And then that you can mix their red within the same lamp, and then you can reduce the white light and leave it until it becomes monochromatic red light to prevent specking or cannibalism. And that it is a way of communication with the birds to avoid certain challenges in the farm, and then get the things out of it, or a better results. So with that, with AC lighting, you won't have. So you can only have one color per light, and with DC lighting, it can allow to have 2 colors of more in the same lamp to apply according to the benefits or the results you want to get. So we see as well that the blue lighting makes the bird sit still, and the UVA, as said, improves bird vision into detail, that he can even identify further pattern. And we can see here the comparison with the light spectra, what we mean about having a broad light spectrum. So like the warm white focus more on the red part of the spectrum, and the cool white, something that you will apply with broilers or with cattle of pigs, having a higher peak on the blue and green part of the spectrum. That's to improve their vision, to improve, for instance, in broilers' activity, in cattle and pigs, so that they can see better and have a good biorhythm of the animals. Now, with the DDS, here we see a broader light spectrum, because you can go deeper on the warm white or cool white, and having always the UVA light. And that is what we said in poultry. It has been proven with independent research and scientific research that improves their vision and stimulates natural behavior, and that gets better performances of the birds. So if you are interested, you can always contact us so we can handle the white papers or share with you testimonials that have proven that. And here is just a summary of what optimal light climate means. This to improve animal behavior and well-being. We see here, so daylight simulation, as we have been talking, that you can reach with a specialized or dedicated LED for animals. And if you compare with other traditional LEDs, you don't get it, or with other kind of light fixtures, that spectra is different than what LED can give you. And as well, it's not possible to adjust light color, for instance, or mix colors within the same lamp, or the quality of the LED in regards to the color representation, which is a CRI that should be above 80 for livestock farms, as well as being flicker-free, having that a smooth and deep light immobility, and of course the correct light intensity and light distribution that would depend on the design of the lamp and the light output that you get out of it with a spread be installed in the correct place to really achieve the light intensity and the light climate that you want to achieve for that application, depending on the type of housing and type of livestock that you have in the farm. Now, to sum up of what we have presented here, putting into practical differences between AC and DC lighting, we have that AC is indeed the standard power supply in most facilities, so it's more reachable what would be DC lighting, because you need those extra power supply that converts AC to DC. Again, AC is ideal for large scale barns and to support long cable runs. With DC, well, you get limited in cable length, not to get that power drop. But here with DC lighting, you can work for solar powered setups, for instance. So it's like making your farm future proof and to renewable energy power. And then you get also look like easy to install and maintain with AC lighting. But if you compare with to DC lighting, that looks to have a lighting system with more parts to replace, at the end you don't need to replace that often as you would do with AC lighting. So at the end you reduce spare parts. It looks like a higher investment at the beginning, but in the long term you will reduce costs because it lasts longer than AC lighting. It has just different specs. Then the cost effective for retrofit, in those cases, well, AC lighting is a good solution. Remember that is less safety, so just make sure that you get LED or AC lights that are resistant for extreme environments in livestock farms, good quality, and then you get a longer lifetime, and that is also protected for voltage peaks or represent less risk in your farm. With DC lighting, we have mentioned already the benefits. It's a more stable performance with few failures, higher security as well, no need of replacement in long time, and the advantage of the color combination in the same lamp possible, and that mostly is flicker-free. With AC lighting, not always flicker-free, so you need to check as well the quality and do your measurements. So yeah, at the end, we come out, of course, with a similar balance in this comparison with pros and cons, but it is about what are your objectives as a company, and your targets, your needs, the needs of your animals, what you need to achieve, and of course the regulations of the market. And to adjust to that at the end, you need certain adaptability and check what will be the best setup for your farm. But the important thing is to achieve that optimal light climate with all the aspects of lighting that I mentioned you in order to improve animal well-being, because at the end they will perform better, you will get better results, you look for a more sustainable solution that reduces cost in several ways, and also a more responsible farming. So at the end, it improves efficiency, and you have more comfort and more control of your animals with DC lighting. So here the presentation. So I thank you for your time and your attention. I will leave here the page of our lighting solutions, all focused on poultry application, because it's where we see the most advantages of having DC lighting. Last session I shared the AC lighting specialized for pigs, dairy cattle, and other species, also for retrofit in poultry. You can scan the QR code or go to our website to check on our product portfolio. You see there that each lamp has different application and benefits, so you can understand better about the light fixture. So in the meantime, if you have any question or comment, leave it in the chats. You all will receive a follow-up email with some resources of the presentation of today. Also a short survey where you can leave as well comments, or if you need more details about certain topic. And hope to see you next time for sure. Here is also a summary of the AC LED lighting solutions with the website and the code to the product portfolio. Let's see if we have any comments or questions. No, not so far. Well, thank you for being here. And yeah, we will come back always with more knowledge article, blog posts. So follow our social media channels as well. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. There we have a lot of videos about knowledge of related to these aspects of lighting, testimonials, and just feel free to dive into our website, hato.lighting, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good day.